TBC, what's the deal? So I'm on boxingscene.com and I see a very interesting article. Anthony Joshua gives his thoughts about the 3 opponents that his team is choosing from right now, and that's Stiverne, Eric Molina, and Dominic Breazeale. All right. He goes on to say, they all sound good to me, Joshua told Sky Sports. We've got Stiverne, who unfortunately got beat. No one likes to lose, but he's very tough and he could take a beating. People want to see who can stand up for the 12 rounds and whether I'd get drawn into a fight. Molina, we saw him fight the current WBC champion, Deontay Wilder. He rocked him and gave him some problems, but Wilder managed to get him out of there. He's still a very, very dangerous opponent. Then we've got Breazeale, who's undefeated. He's a great amateur like myself, Olympian like myself. And he's making his way through the professional ranks, so he is up and coming, hungry, and I'm sure he wants to prove himself not as a prospect, but as a true contender. So we'll slowly leak a few names and see what works. Let's just get my first defense underway, whoever out of those 3 names or other names in that hat, and then look and see what the future holds. All right. Reading some comments under the story, I'm hearing, let me just read some fans' comments on Boxing Scene. One guy says, Breazeale would be easily KO'd. Other guy says, Stiverne would be my choice if I was Hearn. Good, reputable name without being overly dangerous. That's likely to give Joshua some rounds. All right, another guy says, if he fought Stiverne, I think it would be a good step up for him. And it's weird saying that for a champion. The Molina fight is not great, but understandable as he went rounds with Wilder. Another guy says, I hope it's Stiverne, but sadly I see Stiverne versus Miller and Joshua versus Malik Scott. Stiverne versus Big Baby Miller. I'm curious where somebody has heard that from. Anyways, and then I've actually heard Malik Scott is an opponent also. And I respect Malik Scott. He has great boxing ability, especially for a big guy, man. Good hand speed, good footwork. Technically, he is sharp. But when he gets in there with guys that has heavy hands, not every guy, but the top, Chisora, Deontay Wilder, he doesn't fare well in some of those fights. I don't think that'd be a good matchup for Malik Scott, but who am I to deny a man a title shot? All right. I think Stiverne is the best choice. Former champion, whether you think, he won a vacant title. Okay, he's a former champion. It is what it is, man. The guy is a former title holder. I think that name would be a good name to have on Joshua's resume. He can possibly beat Stiverne and try to, prove a point. Hey, I can knock, Stiverne out. Deontay Wilder couldn't do it. Chris Arreola couldn't do it, so on and so forth. He can have the bragging rights. Eric Molina, all these guys he can fight, but besides Dominic Breazeale, between Molina and Stiverne, he can say, hey, I did what Deontay Wilder couldn't do. He can always use that. You know what I mean? Because both of these guys are knockout punchers, Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. Now, Wilder has shown some wrinkles in his game by fighting off his back foot and using his jab, but he is known as a KO artist, all right? Dominic Breazeale, and no disrespect to Dominic Breazeale, yes, he was an Olympian. He's a former football player, a guy that picked up the sport very late in his career. He went out to that heavyweight factory out there in Carson, California, called the Great American Heavyweight Camp out there. They have a facility where they bring in heavyweights from all over the country, man. They bring them in and, put them through different tests and different, sparring and strength and conditioning tests. Just put them through different things. And Dominic Breazeale, Gerald Washington, Charles Martin are 3 of their alumni to come out of that. Now, no matter what you think of those 3 guys, I think Carson, California and the All-American Heavyweights, they need a round of applause, man, for just being able to bring different athletes, football, basketball, wrestling, bring them to that facility, and for them to make an Olympian out of that camp. I think it's excellent. I think it's excellent. Even a title holder. I know some people that kind of hard on Charles Martin from his the performance he put up against Joshua, but again, you have to give credit to All-American heavyweight out there in Carson, California, man. They really deserve that credit. Because it's not a sure thing that you're going to get a decent heavyweight out of a camp like that, and to make an Olympian and to have a champion, they deserve some credit. But back to this fight though, I think Joshua beats Dominic Breazeale. Breazeale to me was losing the fight to Amir Mansour. He went down. He got up though. That's one thing I'll give him credit for. He did get up. He did show the willingness to get up and continue to fight. And I know, you know, Mansour's jaw was broke and he started to swallow blood and his tongue was split open severely. And I know he was swallowing blood and gasping for air. But at the same time, that's not Dominic Breazeale's fault. He was the last man standing. And he looked like he was getting a little bit stronger as the fight went on. You know, now you could say that he looked stronger because, you know, Mansour was starting to tire. But that's just what I saw. I saw him getting stronger as the fight went on. And I started to see Mansour tire. But what do you guys think about these three opponents? I've actually done the video on this already. But what do you guys think about the opponents, and what do you feel about Joshua's, you know, his comments on these three opponents? You know, he said, it's funny because he says Stiverne can take a beating. So I guess he thinks if he fights Stiverne, he's just going to be in there taking a beating. You know, and Stiverne has a tough chin, man. He has a real tough chin. But Molina, he's real susceptible to being hit with right hands, man. But the thing is, he has his own right hand that he's going to bring to the party too. So Joshua would have to, you know, be aware of that, man. He just can't walk straight downhill and think he's just going to take, you know, solid flush right hands from these heavyweights. I think he's just going to walk through all of these. Not saying that he said that, but all these guys carry a punch. You know, they're big guys, man. All these guys carry a punch. Breazeale will be a lot taller than Anthony Joshua. I think he'll outweigh him by a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. But Josh was built like a brick house. I mean, he has tree trunk arms. I mean, this dude was built like a damn brick house, man. But I'm fine with all three of these fights, but the Breazeale-Stiverne fight is the fight I think that should happen. I'm just getting this out there. YTBC. I'm out.